Hey, what's up? This is Pete. Welcome back to Underdog Garage. We're getting into part 3 of this Miata Rust Repair Series, where we're actually going to be taking out the main structural rocker panel of our Miata. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of cutting, a lot of grinding, a lot of plug weld drilling, and just a ton of work to get this thing out. But I'm super excited to get into it and share it with you and see what we find. So with that said, let's go ahead and tackle this rocker panel. I'm going to mark all the spot welds on the rocker panel with a paint pen so they're easier to identify when I'm drilling. Using an angle grinder, I'm removing the paint to make the spot welds easier to see. I'm scraping off most of the sealant around the rocker panel. While I may not be directly welding in that area, the melting sealant from the heat smells awful, and I will reseal it after I weld. Okay, after marking all of the plug welds with a paint pen, I've found that I have 80 plug welds. So I have a lot of drilling ahead of me. But the plan is that I'm going to tackle the plug welds on the underside of the panel, of the rocker panel first. Won't bore you with a lot of the details, but I'll check in with you after I finish plug weld number 80. I started off tackling some of the spot welds on the underside. The rocker panel rust made them tough to cut and see, but I would drill a bit, then pry a bit to separate the panels until it finally started separating. It was a plug weld drilling marathon. The moment you think you have all of them drilled out, you have 20 more lined up waiting for you, ready to be drilled. After finishing up on the underside, it was time to tackle the spot welds on the top of the panel. These were all pretty accessible and easy to drill out. As we were drilling out spot welds, we would take a moment and start separating the panel from the inner structure. To get a better understanding of the structure of the rocker panel, I cut into the center where I knew there wasn't any interior metal that I could risk cutting into. Now that we had a better idea of what was inside the rocker panel, we decided to cut out a big chunk of the center to give us more access so we could see exactly what's in there. Now I'm removing the remaining part of the underside of the rocker panel. This was the most difficult as this was the most corroded and rusty. Lots of hammering and prying until it finally came free. Now all that was remaining was the front corner that sits behind the fender panel. It's very satisfying pulling rusty metal off a car, knowing that you're going to put good, even better metal back in. With that final piece removed, this rocker panel is pretty much gone. Now I'm ready to clean and prep the area for when we go in to weld the new rocker panel. Alright, so you can see we've gotten our main rocker panel off the car now. Super exciting, big step in this project, and I'm happy that we've gotten to this point. I have a lot of work to do still, have to patch in some areas on the inside of the rocker and get those fixed before we can put the new panel in. I was actually kind of surprised at how much the rust had drifted into the center of the panel. It's kind of amazing how much rust travels, especially in really high moisture areas, and it's amazing that it can kind of travel without you really knowing it. But we'll get that all cleaned up and get that straightened out, and we'll be ready for the new panel. All right, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes coming up. You can also hit us up on Facebook and Instagram at Underdog Garage. So we appreciate you watching, and we will see you next time.